Hello to all our viewers around the globe, and welcome to Through the Goddess Portal. I'm Hana Marritz. I'm your host and creator of this global video conference, bringing together Indigenous people, astrologers, channelers, shamans, psychics, healers, and seekers of all kinds, exploring the unseen realms and calling on the divine feminine, the goddess, to reveal to us her power and magic, and to show us the way through our disastrous patriarchal paradigm, and to co-create a new earth based on love and respect that cherishes all life and all of creation. And so it is with the greatest pleasure that I'm introducing to you our next amazing speaker, Eimear Stassen. Eimear is a sacred storyteller and earth witch. She helps witches, wise ones, and healers to rise up and return to their power by walking the witch's wheel home. Eimear works to bring the forgotten magic of the witches firmly into the collective consciousness once again. She offers training in old Irish Indigenous ways through the sacred stories of the goddess and witches of ancient mythological lore. Eimear's from Dublin, Ireland, and lives in central Scotland with her husband, 3 children, and border collie named Riley. Her topic today is the alchemical awakening of the Irish witch. So, please welcome Eimear.
Thank you. I can hear the round of applause resonating around the world. Yay! Here we are.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
It is my pleasure. So tell us about the goddesses and the witch's wheel that is calling you home.
Yeah. And I love the title of this event, Through the Goddess Portal. And it was a witch awakening I had in the Lionsgate 2020, where I realized that the witch in me was being remembered and reignited. And ultimately, this awakening burst open my creativity and brought me home to my Irish Indigenous roots that I'd begun re-exploring again, going more ancient and reconnecting with the different goddesses of the lands. So for me, it's been an exploration, a walk, a pilgrimage to remember and reconnect with these different archetypes, these different energies, and also learn and listen to how they wish to speak through me and commune with me. So that's a very shortened version of what the journey has been up until this moment.
And tell us a little bit about the witch's wheel.
Yeah. So after my awakening on the Lionsgate, it kind of pushed me, shoved me, made me go public and claim to the world that I am a witch. And I call myself now an earth witch, walking the land, connected to the land and connected to earth, that I feel is a witch as well. And I'd begun learning about the Celtic medicine wheel, then the Celtic medicine wheel, and that merged with my awakening to become the witch's wheel, because the goddesses are the wise ones, the medicine people, the healers, the psychics, the shamans, all the people that you've introduced at the start of this event, all the people that are in this event. So I started reconnecting with the different directions, the deities, and then going home once I could to Ireland to walk upon the lands and to go to the different sacred sites that called me, to really reawaken their energies within me. So it was the Cailleach witch was the first to come in and make herself known. And that was just after my witch awakening, literally a few days after she came to my attention, not just knocking politely at the door. She just barged right through in a thunder and lightning storm that was really happening outside, but she blew in like the gale force wind that she is to declare that I am the Cailleach witch, creator of the Celtic lands. And on she went, and literally wanted me to remember and witness and honor her story as it was playing out. Because part of this also was the remembrance of the myths, the Irish myths, which we did learn in school through Irish, actually, through the Irish language. And what I realized was that many have been distorted to
Mm.
suit the patriarchal structure of our times. And the Cailleach witch was really angry with how she was being portrayed. So that was like the beginning of the journey of realizing, wow, I'm having these divine connections with these deities, and they're so powerful and like rumbling through me like fire with volcanic force. And oh my goodness, there's this grieving to do by how she has been portrayed or written out or erased from the lore. So it was like a whole chaotic cauldron of new realizations that were coming through over the last few years as I walked the witch's wheel, which is the Celtic wheel rebranded for the witches. And there's the various 8 deities that I connect with and their sacred sites in Ireland.
Um, I love the Cailleach witch, and I love her story. She is the elder, isn't that correct? She is the final the third phase of the woman's journey.
Yes.
She is the elder. And can you tell us a little bit more about her and the story of the prince who meets her, and she turns out to be the maiden?
Yeah, well, the story I connect with is how she created the land, the Celtic land. So Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Isle of Man, France, she's got a vast outreach. And she carried her rocks, her rock babies, as I call them, in her apron, which for me is representative of her womb, and then distributed them around these lands. And then she jumped with a hop, skip, and a jump from her place, which is in Lough Crew in Ireland's ancient east. I don't know if you managed to go there when you visited. No. Yeah, not far, not too far from Newgrange and many of the
Oh,
sacred sites that are in this part of the country. And as she hopped from these places, she slipped and fell on the third hill, which is called Patrickstown Hill. And that's where she fell to her death by breaking her neck. And her energies, she's said to be buried beneath this calendar stone on Patrickstown Hill. So that's the one of the stories that I've connected with. And there's others about her connection with the Beara Peninsula, which is very rocky. It's the Cork and Kerry border in Munster. And how people were trying to trick her and steal her wealth because she is a deity of great wealth and abundance, and how her wealth is actually lobsters in a pot of gold. It's this it's like the abundance of nature that she teaches us about. So yeah, that's the one. I'm not familiar with the other one about
well,
becoming.
there were the 3 phases: the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And she represents the crone. And
Yes.
um, there was a story of a prince who came across her in the woods, and she wanted to make love with him, and he was turned off by her, but he did make love to her. And in the morning when he woke up, she was the maiden. And
Mm.
so there's this transformative power that she has between the different phases of womanhood.
Yes. Yeah.
And I found that so fascinating that an elder crone is this sexual being, really, that she she embodies all three phases of womanhood, and that she holds the secret of all three of them at one time.
Yeah.
So I would be very uh, curious as to how the patriarchy changed her story.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of the work that I was doing, I was teaching this course. We teach what we need to learn, and I had created this program called the Eight Faces of the Cailleach Witch. And
Hmm.
it was basically walking the witch's wheel, but connecting with each of her essences, her faces. And I bought this book. I don't actually have it to hand, but I thought this is going to be a really easy course. I've got this book. I'm going to share her stories, and then we'll connect in with them. And that's when I realized I was reading the stories, and they were so violent and brutal towards her. So like these violent deaths that, yes, it's the masculine and the feminine energies. But as I was connecting to the goddesses, it's like they've suffered these violent deaths. Um, and then there were these other stories of people trying to rob her of her riches, witches, I was going to say, riches. And there was another one that came to mind of being outcast from
Mhm.
the community. I've been called names, I've been outcast and shunned for who she was as this old crone bringer or broadcaster of death, but
Okay.
also
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
Sheila Nagig aspect of this fertility goddess that some find is grotesque in one way and should be erased from the scripture. Um, yeah, the banshee is a representative, and also the sorcerer aspect of how she has this elemental power to work with the elements and weave and stir her cauldron, her vortex.
Aldrin, of course.
Yeah. So there's lots of different stories about her, and it's like the violence, the betrayal, the distortions.
Hmm.
And I'm just going by my gauge of how reading her stories feel in my body, and the anger that it would bring up as I commune with her. And it's like, let's rewrite the stories for this portal that we're stepping through.
Yes, so the stories probably turned violent. We're not so violent originally, but all those things that the patriarchy did to her then became part of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Because these
The
stories, these men,
betrayal and the violence and the shunning.
yes. Yes.
Those are
And these were oral, it was an oral lore
right.
of these
So it
stories that,
so it accumulated, it kept adding those dimensions to it.
yeah, yeah. And they were only written down in the early centuries by Christian monks.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's the both. It's like the dual nature of perhaps she did become distorted along the way and take part in these deeds, or perhaps it is a pure misrepresentation of who she is meant to be as this pure divine being. So it's perhaps both.
Yes. Yes.
Now she's back, and it's like weave these new stories, her
Mhm.
story, that's going to support us in co-creating this new earth.
Indeed. I do feel like she is leading us, and the whole part about death in the early days was not something to be afraid of. It was the life cycle renewing itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the banshee is the person that announces that someone is going to pass. So it's giving people that well, comfort is the word that comes to mind, that to be ready, to be prepared that someone's going to pass on to the other world in this village. So she's given a bit of notice. It's not to be
So the
feared.
banshee is the messenger
Yes. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
death, recycling, really.
Yeah, yeah, and some people associate the first lament. So there's the keening. I don't know if you've heard about keening or lamenting. When
Mhm.
someone dies, it's to allow the grief to move through and to support the ascension of the deceased to the to where they're meant to go, the safe passage for the person that has passed on. And some say she is the first, was the first queena, was the first keen, the first lament. Other teachers say it's Bridget is the
Oh,
first, is the first lament. So yeah, so that is her. You know, it's not to be feared. It's a supportive aspect of her energies, of her
so she is a
qualities.
guide.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Absolutely. Some people connect her with that energy of Kali, you know, that fierceness, or um the Morrigan, who I've not connected so much with yet. I'm holding her at arm's length.
So
Like a,
many, so many
there's so
goddesses,
many.
so little time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And your sculpture behind you of this voluptuous, gorgeous goddess is like, that's who I imagine the Cailleach is as well, in her crone phase, as this beautiful, take me as I am goddess. This is who I
Wow,
am.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And these phases, I now have added witch in as well. It's maiden, mother, witch, and crone.
Oh, okay.
But that's just my addition to the triple goddessness. It's now four. Like, which wants to be in there too? Because it's the phase I feel like I'm in, kind of
Uh-huh.
straddling witch and crone, you
So
know?
it's kind of like coming into your wisdom, but before becoming a crone.
Yes. Yeah. And the witch within me is giving me that support, that confidence. I feel like I'm rebuilding these foundations within me to
Mhm.
support the voice, this new voice that wants to speak through me, as me.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
The voice, the voice of the goddess, that is so profound
Mm,
because that is what we're missing, the voice,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
that's what we're finding right now.
yes,
It's always the male, the male voice is always so dominant, and we're finally finding our voice
yeah,
now. And so she is leading us. Thank you, thank you.
yes. And it's such a delicate area, it's such a delicate chakra. And that's been part of my healing journey.
Mhm.
Because when I did first connect with the witches and I started speaking and doing summits about witches,
Mm, mm,
like I really felt this restriction and constriction in my throat, and like I was going to die again,
mm.
or be killed, or kicked out of the tribe. So it has been a huge healing journey of speaking, of knowing what these truths are and speaking them, and having that confidence to do that.
And that is our work, isn't it? To find the confidence to speak
Yeah,
powerfully
yeah, yeah,
because we have been so unused to it and so suppressed.
yes,
So
yeah,
finding a voice.
yeah. And for me, like, different songs and poems were coming through from the witches, from the Cailleach, from Bridget, from Anya, Um, and literally it was to remember us, remember the witches, sing our soul song, remember our soul song and the story that wants to be sung. Like it's this remembrance, and in that then we reconnect with the magical gifts of the witch, of the goddess, to come back into balance. So it's not one dominant voice over another. We're all around the witch's wheel now. We're all walking the wheel together, supporting each other now.
Voices are coming together.
Yeah.
Is the voice that is leading us, that has led you through the portal.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
And it's like the Kaliak has grabbed me and going, "You're coming, whether you want to or not." No choice. Of course there's a choice, of course. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The
well,
voice has.
that is the powerful tool of the goddess.
Yeah. And then when you speak and step through that portal, then you meet people like yourself. You meet the other people because your frequency calls in the souls that I feel we contracted to come back and meet, speak, meet, reconnect now. So in doing, I was going to say in doing the work, but in walking the witch's wheel or walking our soul path, we connect with the right people at the divine time. And it's a quickening. I'm just finding that even in recent days or weeks, it's just like, whoop, whoop, like a magnet attracting people.
Yes, I feel it. Yes, and I think lots of people are feeling it. It's all coming together. It's all vibrating right there in front of us, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
You mentioned something about a Sinachi storyteller. Did I say that right?
Shanahi. Shanahi.
Shanahi. And
Yeah. So that was another part of a reclamation for me because I have always loved stories, and I spent 20 years working in the corporate financial services. And I'm not going to say my stories weren't welcome, but the storyteller in me, I left her at the door. I left her at the revolving door and then picked her up as I went home. There wasn't time. There was deadlines, in this
I,
market-driven jobs. And it's only been recently as the witches' energies have flowed through me, as I'm reconnecting with her story, the stories of the goddesses, and rewriting them through me. And I realize, wow, I am the Shanachie, which means the ancient storyteller. Shan is old, so the ancient storyteller. And these were the bards, they were the brehons, they were the keepers of the oral lore. And many of the stories were spoken in a rhythm with a poetry and a rhyme that was helpful for people to memorize because they were memorized. They had to be, they weren't written down. And the keepers of the oral lore became the brehons or the law, the judges, the keepers of the law. So they were the lawyers of ancient
oh,
Ireland.
interesting.
And they'd be asked to call to mind a particular story that related to a particular situation. And they would meet at the high places or particular rocks or sacred trees. And they would commune together to decide, how can we support this person who has done something against the natural laws? How can we support them
Hmm.
to reintegrate back into the community? So it's really interesting. So that's only been in the past few years, where in speaking the stories, then in retrospect, I realize, oh, I'm part of this tradition to continue speaking the stories now as it, and again, uniquely through me, because we all have our unique stories that are all part or all needed. The medicine is needed. And for me, that medicine is through the story, through the poetry. and sharing that in, I feel my voice has become freer, and I know it's a spiral path. There's still healing work to be done. The wounds are being recognized and healed. And I feel like it's like the resonance of my voice is changing.
Hmm.
I don't know if you feel that. It's like if I look back at videos a few years ago,
Yes, I do hear it actually.
and
Yeah.
there's a constriction, and it's like it's freeing up, it's becoming freer to speak that truth and to trust what wants to be shared.
How
So,
magical.
yeah, yeah,
The quality of the voice is half the message.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's it. It carries the vibration and the frequency to be received by the
Yes.
other person. And I also realize that Ireland is the Shanachie as well. Ireland and all, I say Ireland because I'm from there, the indigenous lands, our earth, Gaia, is also the Shanachie. The goddesses are the ancient storytellers, the gods are, because they want to weave through us. They want to guide us through that portal. If only we take their hands. And if we don't, we might get a shove from the Cailleach witch to go, be brave. And then we'll soar and fly.
Jump in.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a key part. It's a key part of, well, Irish culture, many, many cultures, to the story. What's the story? What's your unique soul story? And as I delve more into different past lives and heal and call these soul fragments back home, yeah, I'm realizing these new stories that want to be woven.
And you are the new Homer. You and I and all of us are continuing the story. We're
Yeah,
adding to it.
yeah,
It's never ending. It keeps spiraling,
yeah, yeah. And we're living the story.
living it.
We're
Yeah.
living it because I feel that was part of my frustration, reconnecting with the Irish myths in particular, and that the energy just didn't feel right for me for these times. So in adding to the story or rewriting it, then it's the exact energy that's needed now. Oh, it's
Right.
it's exactly right for these times to
Yeah.
support.
To what we need at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also something very nourishing about hearing a story and settling down around the fire to, with a warm drink if it's cold, and listening and just receiving, because we each receive the different message from that one story. So there's so much magic to it. I love it.
Yes. It's stirring the cauldron.
Yeah, 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 it really is. And that's like, it's like that dynamic energy of reawakening our chakras, reawakening these energy centers. And I had it was kind of a dream vision of the Cailleach witch, where she came to me with her whirlpool cauldron and took me down into the cauldron. And I go, no, I don't want to go down there. It's scary.
Wow.
And it's like, come down here and see, witness what's here. And it was like the hungry ghosts, the lost, fragmented souls, the horror, the distortions, all of that that I hadn't wanted to see or witness. The part of the wheel that I didn't want to step onto, or the other part of the wheel, because it has to be balanced, the divine and the distorted. It's all about the balance, isn't it? So the Cailleach as well had, she's like, this is another part of the story that's as important that you need to witness, speaking to me. And then I share it. So it's like, come down here, come down into this vortex. And
As you're speaking, I'm thinking about another speaker that I had a meeting with, and this I'm seeing she speaks about the uterus and how transformative it is to work with the uterus and to do rituals with the uterus and to connect with it, and how powerful and transformative it is. And that's what the cauldron is. It's the uterus which births us all.
Yes. Yes. And the goddesses, well, all the goddesses, they are the cosmic mothers. They are the primordial mother that births us all, as you say. And doing that womb healing as well, which has been a big part of my journey, and the healing of the mother lineage in particular. You know, my mother will say that we don't need healing. You know, like, well, it's ancient healing of the mother line, of our ancestors, of the motherland as well.
Indeed. Yeah. You speak a lot about fire dragons and dragon eggs. Would you like to talk to us about that?
Yeah, I love that you asked that. I was actually just the other weekend, I was doing a fire walk, actually, walking on fire
Oh,
and reciting. I was speaking at this event in the Lake District in England, and I was reciting this poem that had come through about feeling the fire within and feeding the fire within. And I do personally love fire and love gathering around the fire, walking on the fire. It was very hot, but it was okay and safe to do and very transformative. And yeah, this relates to a shamanic journey, a few shamanic journeys that I've had recently, actually, connecting to it's like the womb at the center of the earth. And on this journey that I went on, I was guided by this little boy into a cave in a mountain that I didn't want to go into because I was scared, because I had to cross these stepping stones over a lava field. And the little boy went ahead of me, hop skipping and jumping over these stones. And I thought, well, if he's doing it, then I can too. So I followed him. And inside the cave, so it's like once I had leaned towards my fear of going into this lava field, inside this cave was a dragon. And the dragon was sitting on 3 eggs. And initially, the dragon was white. It was just all white, kind of colorless. But then the eggs were gifted to me. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, we're going to birth some baby dragons here. This is a brilliant story. And then as I went back into the journey, the eggs cracked open, but it wasn't dragons. It was actually this golden liquid elixir. It was like a river of gold, and it was really animated, like with this high frequency of gold, which I connect to like Celtic gold and this ancient elemental. And I didn't even need a cup to drink it. It was just pouring into my mouth. It was really bizarre. But then the eggs also then became crystals,
mm.
and I was directed to place them inside my womb. It was unbelievable. And they were rose quartz crystals. So I placed them in the 3 parts of my womb for the healing to happen and unfold, for love and self-love and self-worth to return. But it actually happened just before I was going home to Ireland, and I was visiting Newgrange that you mentioned before we started recording, which for me is the great womb of the mother and her
Yes.
great pregnant belly. And as I went in, it was like I was meant to have this journey to then go inside the chamber of Newgrange with the 3 chambers inside this womb. And it's like that I was meant to activate something within there of this self-love, of this primordial love for the mother, the motherland, for self in some way. So I don't actually consciously know what, but it just felt like
Yeah.
it's all, yeah, it's like this great symphony, like this great story that's been woven for us. as well as through us. And the dragon part, so they're the dragon eggs. But when I revisited this space again, it had become this great crystal cave that I still go to, that we can all go to recharge our energy and connect in with the primordial mother energies. And dragon became this emerald green fire dragon. Of course it did, to breathe out fire to help thaw these areas within me, within the umbilicus of my lineage that have
Mm.
become stuck, that have become frozen, and that now need the fire of the dragon to be released and transmuted and healed, if they want that, you know. So it's yeah, I'm getting tingles up the back of my neck there. It's like fire dragon is a powerful, powerful force.
Powerful, yeah.
Yeah. And in these journeys, it's like I became fire dragon. And like making those noises as well is very healing and releasing for our throat too, clearing the
How does
blockage.
the dragon sound?
Roar! I love that you ask. Roar! It's quite a kind of husky roar.
That's what is releasing your voice.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. I'm not being afraid or embarrassed to, just be the fire dragon and stomp around with this big tail and just roar or sing or sound in some way. So I love that you asked.
Your kids must have a delightful time with you, uh, because you are embodying those very energies and really firing up their imaginations.
Yeah, yeah, most of the time they're embarrassed, but
They are. Okay,
that's
well,
okay.
they're at that point. They'll come around.
They will. They realize how amazing I really am one
Uh-huh.
day. Yeah, yeah. So that's the dragon and the eggs. And I know many, like we're in the year of the wood dragon, aren't we? So many are connecting with the dragon and that rumbling energy that wants to be remembered because he talks like this. And dragon is a male for me, actually. It's like a male. That fire is the male energy that's healing within me too. And I say me, and I mean all of us, if that's your
Yeah,
journey.
because it is the male that we need to heal, that women need to heal.
Yeah.
It is the female that the men need to heal.
Yeah, yeah, and it's both, isn't it? Because that's in walking the witch's wheel and connecting, and it was all about the feminine goddesses. And most of the people in my circle, in my teaching circles, were women. And now lately, as I step through the portal, it's the masculine, it's realizing the wounded masculine within me and going on this next healing journey of responding to what that means and expressing that and yeah, inviting it to tea when I feel brave. Like
Are
all
you
this.
saying that more men are joining up in this journey?
Yeah, one at a time. Yeah, yeah, they are. Yeah.
Awesome.
And yeah, even last year, I ran a retreat in Scotland last October. And I hadn't said, I always say everyone is welcome. And then, it's the right energy of the people that step in. And I'd had an email from a man who asked, who had said, like, the door has been shut for him in so many circles that are women only, and he feels really not welcomed in any places. And he
Wow.
asked, can I come in, basically? Can I come and join this retreat? Because number one, I know I have to go to Scotland, and number two, I really connect with the witch. It was called the Witches Rise Up Retreat. And I have to be honest, when I first read the email, my initial reaction was no. I was so surprised by my no, no, you can't. You can't come in. So I slept on it. And it was a real like barrier. And I slept on it. And then the next day I replied to him and I said, let's have a chat on Zoom. And the
Mm,
minute I spoke to him, my heart melted. I was like, what are you doing, Eimear? This is creating more separation.
yeah,
Invite him in. And it was the most beautiful warrior witch energy, actually, wizard witch energy that he brought to this circle. So I feel, yeah, both aspects, the divine masculine, divine feminine within us and outside of us, were reweaving that, recalibrating, and coming back into harmony, into union.
that is so beautiful. We women need to heal our womb wounds,
Yeah,
but men need to heal theirs as well. Um, their masculinity has been so wounded,
yeah,
and they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know where to turn. And so great that he thought to turn to you and
yeah,
that he
yeah.
was accepted.
He was accepted, and oh my goodness, we all still keep in touch. Now,
Oh,
this group has opened such a powerful portal, and we all still keep in touch. And those in, whoever's in the UK or Scotland, we meet, from time to time. So it's opened another portal at
that
this
is
time.
so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, really powerful.
So beautiful because the suppression of life energy has been towards both sexes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and one has reinforced the other.
yes,
Now it's time to open the doors and let it all flow together. Um, and that
yeah.
is quite challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, and I do understand that there will be spaces where people will feel safer, whether it is a particular gender in the room or not. So I do acknowledge that, and for me in my work, it's inviting the right people in, the right energies in that need to be there. Because I've had many, the past lives that I've gone into, there's been a few where I've been, I see the throat clearing there, where I've been the priest, where I've been the male priest, where I've been the Knights Templar on the battlefield, wounded on the battlefield. So I've
Oh, wow.
been there. And this life, I'm like, hey, hey, look at me. I'm a woman. I've got boobies, I've got a womb. Oh, I can birth creative ideas and projects and children. So I've been that, I am that too. So it's yeah, turning towards that and healing that aspect as well.
That is so gorgeous.
Yeah,
So I think that's a really great message for all of us is to be aware that while we are doing women's work, we also need to do the men's work in, or at least to invite them in to do the work for themselves.
yeah, yeah.
Very important aspect of this whole process.
Yeah, and when it feels like the right time, because in my bio you mentioned we have the our dog Riley, and his star sign, he's actually Libra. He's conked out here in the floor beside me. He likes listening in to these conversations. Or he's probably rolling his eyes. Oh, I've heard this before. But I feel he arrived in December 2020, and I feel like he's brought balance because I've got three daughters, and then there's me. No, I don't. I've got two daughters. Oh my God. And a son. So he's brought balance. Now it's three female, three male energies. So I feel like it's this balance that my dog is showing us, and that as we walk the wheel, we're coming back into balance.
Well, it seems like he is a guide.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel that balance. I feel it
Oh, I love that.
working.
Yeah, yeah. And
Y- y-
someone told me that because he had to have an operation um early on, and someone told me, well, he's taking on the wounded masculine.
Oh,
Oh, and I felt so
beautiful.
bad. I felt really bad in that. Yeah, that was like the start of that next healing journey for me.
Mm,
Oh,
wow. So this is
yeah,
a family affair.
yeah, yeah. And I feel it has to be for me. It's like it all happens, just in everyday life.
Well, the animals are our guides, and they keep us on the path.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, yeah. And I'm
They
opening up more
here.
to what he can
Sorry.
teach. I'm opening up more to what my dog teaches me as well, and the animals. I mean, there's been a bird, I don't know if you see it, but there's been a bird pecking at my window for the last 3 days, this yellow tit. And it's every now and again it'll come, it's eating the blossoms on the tree outside. And it's like the birds are like they're coming right up to my window now, going, hey, look, here I am, this yellow tit warrior. And
I have something to say.
yeah, and it reminds me before we came on to talk, I went out and walked my dog and came face to face with a deer. So I meant to share that because it just felt like it was in the
They're
field
they're all
beyond.
contributing to
Yeah,
this beautiful cauldron of healing.
yeah, it felt like grace was stepping forth. So grace in all of this.
Well, I could talk with you for hours, but unfortunately, our hour is coming to an end. So I'm going to thank you so profoundly for this wonderful journey. It's been so refreshing and so expanding.
Mm.
Um, and I would like I would like to know if you'd like to share with our viewers your free gift.
Yes. Yeah, we've spoken about the Cailleach a bit today, which is nice. So it is a journey to meet with the Cailleach witch. And it's some of the storytelling that I share about her in the poem that came through, and then a journey as well to meet with her. So it's like the full Cailleach experience.
Oh, great, wonderful. I can't wait to do the journey.
Enjoy it. Hold on for the ride.
Hey, buckle up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Emer. This has been so beautiful and gives me so much to meditate on and think about and work with. I will be calling on the dragon.
Yes, yeah, they're here. They're here. They're ready, supporting us. Thank you so much and good luck with this whole event. I can't wait to dive in and
Thank you
experience
so
it.
much, Emer. Thank you for being here. And thank you to all our viewers, and see you the next time. Bye bye.